Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. Today we will be discussing my time with the new and improved final version of the Remshi Designs Shino. I unboxed it probably about a week or two ago, and now, I already did the videos a few weeks ago on the Shino, but now we have the full packaging, and more importantly, the Zippy spacers. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, it does come with extra spacers. And while I am disclosing stuff, Remshi did lend me this unit for the purpose of these videos, but he didn't tell me what to say in any way. Further discretion, Remshi and I are friends. We play games outside of Balisongs all the time. So take my opinions with as much grain of salt as you need. I understand completely, but please know that I am doing my best to remain as impartial as I can as usual, because person who made the Balisong is far less important than how the Balisong performs on its own. So, that's what comes in the box. I did not try these, to be completely honest with you, because I already tried them last time Remshi sent me the Shino. They are not my favorite thing. They make it good, but they make it a little bit weird. The Zippy spacers are really what I'm making the video about today, because nothing about the Shino has changed except what the Zippy spacers have changed about it. Another disclaimer, these are not the final version. You can see that these actually hit the blade when you squeeze them together. I've been told that that has been fixed, which has changed the sound profile a little bit of the final version. So keep that in mind if you're looking into getting one of these things. But all of those, I don't know, discretions. What's the word that I'm looking for there? I have no idea. All that out of the way. How do the Zippy spacers improve the Shino? I think by quite a lot. I think that they do an excellent job of making the Shino remain fun, remain a personality flipper like Remshi's designs usually are, but improving the overall reliability and the readability of what it's going to do. And what do I mean by that is when I throw a choker fan, when my brain says choker fan and my hands do a choker fan, I know what I'm going to get. When my hands do, I don't know, a scissor, I know what I'm going to get. A chaplain, I know what I'm going to get. It has improved the consistency and the readability of those tricks. Maybe readability is the wrong word, but the consistency of those tricks by quite a lot. And how it's doing that, you might be looking at these and saying, well, Ethan, maybe you're newer to the community, or maybe you just haven't seen Zippy stuff before. Ethan, those are little plastic spacers. How are they making that much difference? Well, the key to Zippy's spacers is not just the plastic, but what resides inside them. Usually, and I can actually show you perfectly here because I have a set of Orion spacers that I still haven't installed. Usually there's little weights that go inside of these plastic spacers that help add weight to them to be either comparable, more, or sometimes less than the initial stock spacers are, depending on the balance that Zippy is going for. And that's the beauty of his products, because not only does he get to mess around with those weights to decide what balance profile that he wants, but generally you as the customer who buys Zippy's spacers also get to choose that, because there's multiple places to put them. You can put them in different areas. You can put multiple of them in. You can put none of them in. There's a ton to really mess around with. Zippy's stuff really is all about customizability, even beyond just the color that you want. But the other big thing is the length. When you're flipping a Balisong, you're essentially swinging a pendulum, and Will has talked about this far more on his channel than I can ever go into detail about. So I recommend you checking his videos about these subjects. Check out his videos he's made on these subjects. But the way that that works is when you have weight that's swinging around a certain point, like the pivot, the further that weight is from that pivot, the more momentum it will carry. The harder it will be to stop that swing, and thus the more momentum the Balisong will overall carry. This is really the strength of Zippy's products, and the strength of the Shino here, because we get that extra length, which not only makes the handles now, again, longer than the blade, which on the initial Shino, it was not. The blade was about the same length of the handles. So now we get that extra momentum that I was missing in the default Shino, and we also get that extra length that I was missing in the Shino. which has helped a lot to make it far more consistent, far more predictable, I guess would be a better word. Because now it actually has the proportions of a more normal balisong. The blade isn't massive. I mean, it's still big, don't get me wrong, but it's not bigger than the handles. A typical balisong, the blade is much shorter than the handles. And that kind of creates a balance profile that you can expect across many different balisongs. And now that finally brings the Shino back into that. But the other thing is, because the handles are now longer, the handles carry more momentum, which means that the Shino is now a dream to chaplain, especially since most of the weight is at the end of those handles. An end-weighted balisong, or more specifically, I guess, an outer-weighted balisong, where the weight is in the tip and the handles, but as you can see, not a ton of like tip-specific weight. It's pushed towards the tip, but it's not at the tip. It's very interesting. But it just makes it chaplain so much better. Before, the chaplains were unpredictable, felt like they were going to fly off at any moment. This no longer feels like that, and that extends into the rollovers and definitely extends into the fans and choker fans. Choker fans just feel way better. They just feel like they're going to do what I want them to. I can actually make use of the fact that there's some pretty good chamfering on these handles to actually choker fan, and I can actually throw a balisong handle, and I kind of expect how much momentum it's going to carry, because that was what made the Shino really weird to me, and probably why people are going to like the stock Shino, but why I prefer getting a little bit more of that standard experience, which is rather ironic because I usually prefer not having that standard experience, but to each their own. And that's the beauty of the new Shino, is that you get that option directly in the box, which I just think is really cool. Having Zippy stuff directly packed in with a balisong like this gives you a massive amount of customizability that if you've never used Zippy's products before, I don't even think you understand how much customizability you're getting from these designs. Just to give you a little bit of an example, even just these non-weighted plastic inserts have increased my opinion of my Orion trainer by like, I'd say half a point. If I was gonna rate this on a 10-point scale, it just got half a point higher because of some plastic in the blade. So there is genuinely a lot of merit to packing this stuff in the package with a balisong like this. And I really like that Remshi has decided to take on that route. So now that we have that opportunity, the Shino has become a balisong that I really enjoy. It's not a balisong that I'm flipping constantly. It's not a balisong that like I'm running to if I want to flip a, more higher end titanium trainer. But that's also more because I've just kind of had my attention hogged up by the Astra lately, which the Astra, still a phenomenal balisong. If I had to pick between the two, that's the tougher option, because you get the customizability with the Shino. I don't even think I'm going to answer that. I don't know if I can. I was doing a live stream on Instagram, just like a really quick one, kind of just talking to people. And someone asked me, do you prefer the new Zippy Shino, or the new Zippified Shino, I guess, or do you prefer the initial Shino that you tried all the way back at Blade Show? And that was a really interesting question to me, because I hadn't thought about it like that. And I don't think I could answer that question, perfectly honest with you. As much as I loved the Shino prototype that I tried at Blade Show, I have also flipped it for significantly less time than I have flipped this new version of the Shino. So for me to answer that question honestly in a more official, quote-unquote video like this, I think would be a little bit disingenuous, but it really kind of made me think about the Shino. And the fact is, I really do love flipping it, because like all of Remshi's other stuff, while it isn't, my go-to thing that I pick up, although if I didn't get the Astra, I think it might have been, getting two similarly cool balisongs in a similar amount of time is definitely tough when it comes to making a guess like that. But if I didn't have that, I think this would definitely be my go-to titanium trainer right now, because I flip this and then I flip the BB Barfly, the BB Superfly. The Superfly is amazing, and the Superfly will always be a recommendation of mine because of how cheap it is. But if we're talking purely flipping, I just really like how the Zippy inserts make this thing carry momentum. Honestly, it's strange. They kind of have a very similar flipping experience. This is just, the Superfly is just a little shorter and a little more well-balanced. Because ultimately, I do think the Shino's total balance profile is a little bit weird sometimes. But that's kind of what comes with making a balisong that has as much personality as the Shino does. So overall, especially when we're comparing it to, oh, that's a fun way to catch that. Especially when we're comparing it to the original one that I got. And look at this, you get a built-in karambit. Ooh. Especially when you're comparing it to the original Shino that I got to try a few weeks ago. I think this is a massive, massive upgrade and has increased my opinion on the Shino almost exponentially. The Shino went from something that I thought was cool to being something that I actually would buy. I would definitely pick up a Shino if I had the funds to pick up a Shino, which I know is crazy given the Transformer stuff lately, but Transformers are cheap compared to this freaking hobby. So, but I think it has become a balisong that I genuinely would want to add to my collection. A balisong that I would enjoy breaking out, especially with the Zippy spacers. And it's just so much better. It flips way better. I can do all the tricks that I want to do without it flying away like it used to, even though it just flew away because I missed the catch. It just does everything that I want it to. Z-chokers, choker fans, zero-G chaplains, normal chaplains. I can't express how much better they feel with these Zippy inserts or with the Zippy spacers. Really the only thing that I don't like is the blade insert, because with the blade insert it just gives the blade a little bit more weight that I honestly don't think that the blade ends up needing. Yeah, I don't think the blade needs any more weight, especially not at the pivot areas, because when you add more weight to that pivot area, it kind of makes the chaplains get a little bit wonky. Still far better than the Shino used to be, but overall that pivot weight just kind of makes it feel a little bit more wonky with everything, so I prefer to leave it out so that I can push that weight of the blade more towards the tip. But again, that's the beauty of customization. If you want it, you got it. So overall, the Shino becomes something that I would actually recommend now, like heartily. Not that I wouldn't have recommended it before, but it would have been a little bit tougher, you know. And I'll have to take a look at my recommendation document and see if it earns a spot on there. I'm not sure if it will. Maybe it'll earn like the customizable spot. But I ultimately also don't know if this changes enough to be considered like adjustable, in the sense that, what do I have for my adjustable pick? Like the Titanium Kraken is. I think you can get far more adjustability out of the Titanium Kraken. Remember, the adjustable category is not about my favorite adjustable balisong. It's kind of more about how many choices do you get with the adjustability. What's the most modular balisong that I can recommend in that price range? So that's cool. But yeah, the Shino has gotten way, way better. I really enjoy it. It's really cool. Thank you to Remshi for letting me try it yet again. And thanks for making it in blade bias colors. I don't think that was intentional, but that's pretty cool. So the Shino's here. And the price, I didn't even talk about the price. The price is much better. I think $400 for this thing, especially now that we've seen the Astra come out of a, I believe, Chinese manufacturer for $350. You pay the extra, you get a little bit more of that customization. I don't really see a problem with that. Yeah, I think it's just a far better price than the Kuno, especially considering it's made from more normal materials. So, because it's not all titanium like the Kuno was. It's stainless steel and titanium like a typical titanium trainer would be. Anyway, I am rambling far too much. Excellent job, Remshi. I really do enjoy this thing. And I really do enjoy that you guys have watched this far of my rambling. I want to thank you all for watching. I also want to thank Zippy for making these things, partnering up with Remshi. I think it's really cool to see makers partner up like that. And I will see you guys in the next one. Later.